Welcome to Compassion Works for All videos, and we have a number of videos that are about meditation and living life and dealing with life issues. One of our programs that we have been working hard on is a book that prisoners have written letters sharing with young people who are in juvenile detention. And we asked them if somebody had said to you something that might have changed your life and kept you out of prison when you were between 10 and 18 years old, what would that something have been? And we were surprised to be just besieged, flooded with letters from people in prison for kids. And this is Jeff Cox, and actually he came up with the idea. So let me start by asking Jeff, who works in a juvenile detention center, how you got the idea.
Well, we used some material previously in our program that had some actual letters from prisoners, and I thought about how these letters would change these kids' lives, and knowing that they've been through what they've been through with the same difficulties in their childhood and as they were going through adolescence, and realized that these kids can definitely relate to what they've been through, and the words have just been amazing, and they've helped our kids very much, and they really think about changing their lives so they don't have to go through the experiences that these prisoners have been through.
A lot of the kids that you see don't have dads.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little more about the families that they come from and the traumas that they've been dealing with in their life.
Right, these kids come from very difficult childhoods. Like you said, many of them don't have fathers. They have mothers that maybe suffer from substance abuse, and they've been involved in illegal activities, and taken out of the home several times during their childhood. Just no stability whatsoever. And when they hear that these prisoners have been through what they've been through, and they're starting to change their lives and do things for the better, then they feel like I have hope too, and I want to change my life before I get to the point where I end up going to prison as well, because they realize this is a place that I do not want to go. And when they hear these actual letters, they really, it makes them really think about their lives and what they need to do.
Because a lot of the folks that we have participating in our Compassion Works for All prison programs are men that, some are younger, but many of them are older, and who have found a path, even though they are in prison, to healing and growth. And they have loved the idea of writing to your kids, some of them, I think, wishing they had written to their own children, and some feeling in a way that they're writing to themselves 20, 30 years ago. But they really like the idea of writing to kids and feeling like they could help somebody. But you're saying these letters really are helping.
They make a very big difference in these kids' lives, and they're more focused in those groups. When I read these letters to the kids, or they read them, they'll take turns reading the letters as well, and it just makes such a difference in their lives. And they always ask me, Mr. Cox, do you have any more letters that we can read from the prisoners? And I just appreciate them so much. And you can tell in the letters that these gentlemen put their hearts and their souls into it, and it's very therapeutic to them as well, because they're able to talk about what they've been through and how they've seen their life progress and change, and how they're starting to make a change in their life as well. So They're very beneficial, and we just always, hoping for more, and so it's just something that can't, just something that will help in the long run for these kids.
Mhm. One of the things, and as you've been reading the letters too, it's like having this compilation of letters of life stories of people that have come from backgrounds that most people don't have a clue how many people are living lives of such trauma and challenge, and to have, as we're putting them together in a book, where they're all together and you're reading one after another, it is such a remarkable collection. And a lot of times, I think it's true, we don't have a clue what kind of lives these kids in our country, in our neighborhoods, and of course in our ghettos and hoods, as they call them, are going through. But you know that, I know that, but we have to let people out in everyday society know what these kids are going through.
Right.
What do you see your kids having come from?
Most people would be shocked to hear what these kids go through every day and what they've been through, and of no choice of their own. They were born into these families and these situations, and they go through such difficult situations in their life that it's almost like when they come into the programs, they have to be retaught the skills they need to survive in this world, and it's very difficult for them. By hearing these letters, they're able to see that the things that they need to focus on in their lives, whether it's their education and getting jobs and staying away from drugs and alcohol, and respecting the adults and their parents and whoever may be in their lives that are guiding them in the right direction. So it's all the things that they need to focus on, that the important things. And coming from such a difficult past, it takes time to change these children's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And the letters from the prison is such an important aspect of that, an important part of changing and seeing that their lives can change.
So a lot of these kids don't have anybody to guide them down a path that develops into a healthy future.
Right.
One of the things that a lot of the prisoners that we work with say is that nobody even ever tells them as they're growing up that they can think through situations. And so many times everybody just reacts to anger or pain, and all of that turns into reactive violence. And they don't learn that they can discuss things and talk about options and think about who they are and where they're going. You find that in your kids too, but thank goodness you're doing that with your kids in your groups.
Right. They find that for the first time in their lives, maybe there's an adult who will actually sit down and listen to what they have to say, or have compassion for what they're going through. And that can make such a difference in a child's life when they know there's someone there they can trust, that won't harm them, that won't turn their back on them. And if once they realize that there is a person like that in their life, they can start making those changes and feel safe about it, where in the past, the only world they knew was what they were living in at that time. And they were most of them just trying to survive on a day-to-day basis. But once they get in that trusting relationship with people in their lives that know they are going to feed them 3 times a day, they're going to have a roof over their head, someplace warm they can stay, people they can talk to that they can trust, and someone in their lives that support them. And then, again, on top of that, hearing these letters from these prisoners who also care about them and are showing this concern and care and want to help them in some way, they realize, wow, people really do care about me, and I can start making these changes. It's a very powerful
The
thing.
caring is palpable, isn't it? You
Yeah.
can really feel it. And these letters are touching, and I even read some of them and think, gee, I wish somebody had told me that when I
Well,
was 15.
exactly, and the prisoners mention that. They say, I wish I had someone in my life that would have told me these things. It sounds very simple. These are the things you need to do to change your life. But it's a much bigger than it sounds, and it's hard to make those changes. But you have to have the people in your life that you can trust and are there for you, that will guide you through those changes. And you know, the combination of the therapists, the case managers, all the people in these organizations that are working so hard to change these kids, it can make such a difference. And we can't just turn our backs on it. It's something that we have to pay attention to and know that these are the things that are going to have. Otherwise, our prisons are going to continue to get fuller and fuller until it's overwhelmed with, So if we focus on these kids and these children to start changing their lives now, we'll see a huge difference in the future.
And so one of our hopes in putting this book together is the kids that aren't in the juvenile system yet can maybe read these letters, maybe their parents can read them, maybe some adults that are out there struggling can read them, and all of us can read them to get a glimpse into homes and families and neighborhoods where our kids, these are all our kids, are struggling, and maybe we can help them find a path before they get into the system or into prison.
There's millions of kids today that are on the verge of going to getting into this system that haven't been caught for any of the crimes they did, or gotten into the trouble that the other kids have. And so if we can get this book out there and let them see and have the wisdom from these prisoners to see there is help out there for you. These are the things you need to do to avoid that future of getting incarcerated and put in the system. This book will help touch a lot of people's lives and see from these prisoners what this world is like, that a lot of people you can't fathom what this world is like. It's a world that you don't even want to be a part of, but if they can share that word with people and say, this is what our world is like, and we want you to make these changes in order to avoid this world. And so it's a powerful book with these letters from these prisoners to touch these people's lives and say, look at the things that you need to do to avoid this coming into this world that we suffer with every day. And it's
we need to help these kids. Well, thank you for all that you do to help these kids, and we thank all those prisoners that have written in, and we thank everybody who cares enough to want to read the book and help the kids that are out there struggling.
Thank you.
Great.